Welcome back to another edition of Prep Picks. Heather Williams aside Steve Wilmot of ESPN Tri-Cities, TriCitiesSports.com. Back again. I think this is year 8 for you.
How about 10?
Year
Year
10.
10.
Oh
Time
my
flies,
goodness.
yes.
Time flies when we are having fun. So back for year 10 of Prep Picks for the two of us. I think it's a year 11 for me personally. And a little bit change of scenery,
Yeah.
a little bit more free-flowing podcast kind of feel to the Prep Picks, but still all the picks that you love to give us a hard time about. So, we are here for you. Just Tennessee on the docket
Yeah.
this week, but plenty to talk about. So let's get right to it, starting with a good one between Tennessee High and West Ridge.
Tennessee High's historically played all these Sullivan County schools. I was thinking today back to 1975. Yeah, that's 50 years ago, folks. Okay. I remember games from 50 years ago. I got no idea where my car keys are, but I remember games from 50 years ago. Against Sullivan Central, a good one. 1981 against Sullivan South, a good one. And about 15 years ago, Tennessee High and Sullivan South are really good football teams. This series has been even up through 4 games. West Ridge won the first 2. Tennessee High won the most recent 2. Both teams have won a close game. Both teams have won a blowout. Coach Justin Hilton just remembers the blowout from last year. But both these teams were thinking about having a 2 quarterback system coming in. West Ridge kind of got their solved due to injury. So sophomore quarterback Justice Hilton, yeah, that's the coach's boy.
Name's familiar.
Yep, he will start the football game. Tennessee, I would go with Jack Richardson and Knox Kesey. But both these teams want to run the football. Make no mistake about it. Tennessee High's bread and butter. West Ridge bread and butter will be running the football. Eli Amex, outstanding running back for West Ridge, Boer for Tennessee High. You've got playmakers on the outside for both clubs. Both teams historically strong in the line. Defensively, Tennessee High, like the middle linebacker Fegans. The nose guard, Stevens, is really good. West Ridge has countered, moved their 2 biggest offensive linemen to guard. So it's going to be a matter of, can they move the middle of the field? Can they move the football, running the football, counterclockwise? Same thing for Tennessee High. Whichever team can run the football is going to win this football game. The game is at West Ridge. I'm going to take the Wolves, but it's going to be a close one.
I think this is going to be a really important year for West Ridge because they've just kind of always been on the very outskirts, kind of sometimes sneaking into the playoffs in Class 6A. I think this needs to be a big year for them to kind of maybe establish themselves like Dobbins Bennett and Science Hill have and kind of break that up a little bit. I think Cherokee's kind of in the same situation in Class 4A. I think because of the size that the 6A school has, I do think they will be able to run the ball a little bit better than Tennessee High. Now, against their level of competition, I think Tennessee has potential to be a good running team, but I think West Ridge is a little bit bigger. So I too am going to give them the slight edge at home, but I think, like you, it's going to be close. Another interesting game between 2 schools from different sizes. Class 5A, David Crockett at Class 4A, Unicoi County. What do you see in this matchup?
Well, coming in, you've got 2 experienced quarterbacks. First of all, you got Colby Jones, who's thrown for about 3,700 yards and 42 touchdowns, run for 19 more for the Blue Devils. You got Wynn coming back for Crockett. Both are 3-year starters. I mean, you like that. You like a high school football team coming into the year with a 3rd-year starting quarterback. More playmakers returning for David Crockett, however, than Unicoi County. They lost all their playmakers. They're excited about the ones coming in. I don't know that the Blue Devils have quite the home run threat with some of the new kids. I talked to Coach Hayden Shanley. One thing he likes about his Pioneers, first time in 8 years, he's probably not going to have 2-way starters on the lines. I think that's going to pay dividend for a bigger school. I've waffled on this one all day because Unicoi still has Colby Jones. Okay,
Right,
that's a big deal. But I'm in a situation where his playmakers are new and the depth up front for the Pioneers. I'll take the Pioneers on the road.
I think, having a Colby Jones on your roster eliminates some of the experience issues. It's kind of like on a smaller scale, but like having a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. If you put people with talent around them, they're going to find a way to get it done. I really am pretty high on Unicoi County. I think because of Colby Jones, they're going to be really good. It's a tough one for me. Much like you, I've waffled for most of the day on this one, but just to be different, I'll jump on the other side and I'll take Unicoi County in this matchup. Interesting game of 2 teams that would probably like to forget last season
Yes.
as Daniel Boone travels to volunteer with the new head coach this year. What do you see from the Falcons and Daniel Boone Trailblazers?
Something's got to give.
Right.
I mean, these teams have combined to lose 38 in a row. Sorry, no offense, but that's the facts, okay? But one of these teams is going to come into the season 1-0, and you really look at the schedule. You don't want to peek ahead to next week. But the team that wins this one could very well start out 2-0. And you mentioned the new coach, Jeremy Wagner at Volunteer. We'll get to him in a minute. Daniel Boone's coach, Jeremy Jenkins. When Coach Jenkins, the 22-year veteran, when his eyes light up and sparkle when he's talking about his offensive lineman, you know that Daniel Boone's going to have a pretty good season, particularly at guard. He said historically over the years, Boone's better seasons have come when they have been outstanding at guard. And they certainly have a pair of huge guards in Dayton Myers at 6'2", 315, and a freshman, Jamison Aldridge, at 6'3", 320. So I like Boone there. They do start a new quarterback in Rice Stone, Volunteer counters with a 3-year starter in Jamison Mowell. He talked about Coach Jeremy Wagner, came up from Jefferson County, a former Volunteer high school graduate. Man, he's got that community on fire. And I've met him twice, and he can certainly fire you up. Okay, one thing he knows, though, if there's going to be doubters on his football team. And Coach Wagner, I know when you see this, you're going to be smiling from ear to ear because I'm a doubter. Okay, for right now, I'm a doubter. I got to go with Boone on this one just because of that offensive line strength that Coach Jeremy Jenkins is just glowing about. So I'll take the Blazers.
Well, I honestly believe that both these teams are going to have much improved seasons from last year, and I like the direction that Volunteer is going. But you're right. When Jeremy Jenkins was in here to do the schedule release show for Friday Night Rivals, you could tell there was a little twinkle in his eye. Like he feels like his football team is back, and when they have the Hogs up front, they definitely are one of the toughest teams in the region. So I am also going to go with Boone, but gosh, I really love the direction that Volunteer is going. I think it's going to be a good season for them. Two teams that kind of had opposite seasons last year in Sullivan East and Johnson County. Johnson County, huge breakout season for them, really put themselves on the map right up there with Unicoi County in Class 4A in this region. And then Sullivan East, young team last year on a slide. So what do you see in this matchup?
Well, I see a more veteran Sullivan East team, a team that took some lumps last year. It's an more experienced football team, but still young. And they started a lot of really, really young kids, including their sophomore quarterback, Peyton Lingerfeld, threw for 2,000 yards. Blue Prophet, his leading receiver, had 700 yards. They're both back. They've got more connected, some playmakers on the outside, good running game for the Patriots. Numbers kind of low, I thought, on media day. Conversely, you look at Johnson County. What were they, 7-0?
Yeah, to start the season
with Mejia.
Yes.
Right? Winless without Mejia. Now Mejia's back. I like Johnson County. I mean, I'm going to stick with the records with Mejia running the football.
I mean, Juan Mejia is maybe the best running back in the area. So talented. The first time I saw him was actually against Sullivan East last year, and I was like, oh, who is that kid?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he just sticks out in the group. You could tell he's one of the most talented guys on the football field at all time. And Sullivan East is improved. They've got a year of stuff under their belt. They're going to be very competitive for the year, but one team has Juan Mejia and one team doesn't. And so I'm going with the team that has Mejia. Interesting matchup. Happy Valley at Unaka. Happy Valley actually spent some time practicing at Unaka High School while the field was going down. Their new turf field that they're going to have at Happy Valley. This game is at Unaka. Unaka had a tough season last year. Really, all the Carter County schools did for everything that went on in there, but particularly because of low numbers, it didn't help that happened at Unaka. So what do you see from this matchup? Class 2 team against a Class 1A team.
I think Unaka's numbers are still down. I saw a photo somewhere floating around. I saw 17 kids in the photo. That is not a recipe for success usually in high school football. And you're right. Last year was just with Carter County. Really, you think about it, 2 of the last 5 years have been just kind of odd. You go back to 2020, now 2024. Let's have a regular season there this year. But Unaka only has 3 seniors on the roster. Now, the 3 seniors are on the offensive line. It's a good place for them to be. They certainly have an outstanding playmaker in Ashton Fuller, a sophomore. They're going to line him up at wide receiver, running back, quarterback. They're going to throw it to him. They're going to pitch it to him. They're going to hand it to him, and they may even center it to him. But he's going to get the football. Happy Valley, they like to run the football. Gabe McDougall's back. Aiden Paul, the injured quarterback from last year, they're fighting for that position. I don't think it matters because Happy Valley runs the football. McDougall threw like 20 times all last year. So I just like Happy Valley, the numbers, the bigger school, Unaka. If you start with 17 kids, it's football. How many do you end up with? I'm concerned about that for Unaka, but I'm happy they're going to be at home and playing football on a regular schedule to start the season.
Well, I think, when you talk about area coaches that get the most out of whatever they have, O'Brien Bennett is that guy. He really, whenever there is anything in Unaka, he gets the most out of those kids. The numbers are really concerning because there aren't a lot of, there isn't any depth. They don't have any room for error, but he will get the most out of the talent there is there. I also know that at Happy Valley, they are really excited about the talent level. They
Yeah.
feel like that this team, and last year and this year, the guys that are still back are as talented as they've had in quite some time there in Happy Valley. And I just think that they're going to have the edge
Mhm.
size wise and just depth wise. I think it's going to make a huge difference. But like I said, I will never count out an O'Brien Bennett coach team because they always seem to pull one or two rabbits out of their
Yeah.
hat every year, and he gets the most out of those kids. And so there's going to be a week where they're going to sneak up on us and beat someone that
Yeah.
they probably on paper shouldn't do. But I think this week I will go with Happy Valley as well. Turning the page now to another team, small school that's expected to be pretty competitive, I think, is North Greene on the road at Chuckey-Doak. Chuckey-Doak kind of took a step back last year. So what do we expect out of the Black Knights and the Huskies this year?
Well, the last time these two teams were on the field, Chuckey-Doak won 76-7 in 2022. Much has changed since
Yes,
2022.
for
In fact, they
sure.
didn't even play the last 2 years. And if you're North Green, why would you? Even if Greene County wanted you to play after losing 76-7, why would you? They may be looking back at last year and going, man, we'd have liked to have a shot at the Black Knights
Right.
last year. Now here's your shot. Chucky Doak lost its last 8 games. You mentioned that coming into the season. North Green, its best season ever. 6-4, first home playoff game since 2011. Lots of returnees. Quarterback Thomas Darnell is back. Running backs Leon Johnson and Braden Weems. They've got receivers at 6'3" and 6'4". Is this North Green we're talking about? But North Green has a chance to maybe duplicate this season. It's going to be harder to get a home playoff game because of the expanded region. We'll talk about that when you get to region play. But Chucky Doak, still very young, only about 10 or 11 upperclassmen total on the roster. This isn't the black hole. That's an issue. I think I'm going to take North Green on the road on this one. I just like the experience that North Green comes in starting the season.
Well, I was at that playoff game last year, that home playoff game for North Green, and I know that the team felt like they really let that get
Yeah.
away. That they were probably the more talented team, but the moment was too big for them. There's a lot of kids back from that,
Mhm.
and they're hungry. They want to prove that they could compete on a national level. North Green has always had the athletes. When you look at what they do in baseball and in basketball, they have the athletes.
Mhm.
They don't feel there's any reason why they can't do that in football as well. And I just think that Chuckey-Doak, you mentioned the lack of experience,
Mhm.
that's going to hurt them. It is in Lower Afton. That is a tough
Yeah.
place to play. But it's Greene County, right? There's
Mhm.
going to be a lot of North Greene fans there. It's a very short trip for them. And I agree with you. I think just based on the experience alone, that North Greene probably gets it done. But I think, all of these games are going to be fantastic games this week. I don't see a dud on the schedule, which is great to start
That's
week
right.
one. All right, so now the marquee game, Friday Night Rivals game of the week, Elizabethton at Science Hill. So excited that we get this game back again on our station this year because, man, this rivalry is fun.
It is fun. It's not been fun for me because I think I'm 0-9. Okay, I really do. I may have gotten it right once or twice, just luck. But both these teams experienced playmakers all over the field. Returning quarterback for Elizabeth and Rhett Slagle can sling it. Science Hill's got a new guy coming in. He's not inexperienced. He's grown up with it. He's not going to wear number 11. He's going to wear number 16. It's not an anti-Florida thing for his former Miami quarterback father, but he's going to be wearing 16. Nate Clement, I talked to him in preseason. He looks every bit the part. And with all those playmakers at Science Hill, if they can block guys, Science Hill's going to be able to score and score a lot. I'm going to defer to my son Parker on this one, who was at the Science Hill Greenville scrimmage and came away very impressed with the Hilltoppers. Parker says to pick the toppers. I don't disagree with Parker. I'm taking Science Hill.
Well, I think you should just let Parker pick this for
That's right.
you based on what's happened in the
Yeah.
past. We talked about this being a big year for West Ridge. I think this is a big year for Elizabethton
Mhm.
because last year they had to deal with something that they don't have to deal with very much, which is adversity. And you say 7-5, how is that adversity? For Elizabethton, seven
That's
and five is adversity. So how do they bounce back from that? What do they have? I think that they are much improved from last year, just pure experience. I think that the desire to hold up the Elizabethton name is going to be huge for them. The road is also tougher this year because they have Alcoa now in Class 4A. It's going to get much tougher for them and for Greenville this year. But when you're talking about a 6A team that is as talented as Science Hill is this year against a 4A team, this is not still as good as Elizabethton is going to be this year. And I think they're going to be very good. This is not the back-to-back state championship teams of a few years ago. They have some nice pieces and some really good athletes, but they don't have the numbers of high-level athletes that those teams had. And because of that reason, I'm picking Science Hill. But I think both these teams, if the cards fall right, if Alcoa is not in Elizabethton's bracket until as deep in the playoffs as they can get, possibly see them, I think they're both poised for very deep playoff runs. I think they're both two really good football teams. But I just think being at Science Hill, being a 6A school, I'm going to have to go with Science Hill in this game as well. So, do you want to know more about high school football? Be sure to check out Steve's website, tricitysports.com. You can also join me on Friday nights for Friday Night Huddle beginning at 11:15 on News 5.